my beautiful people, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to this channel or this is the first time of you coming across this channel, I'm Chinwe. So in today's video, let's talk about black slavery. And my question is, will the blacks ever forget what happened during the slave trade? History has been told, and from generation to generation is there. It can never be erased. So let's listen to some TikTok gists and hear what they have to say.
We will never forget. We were stolen, enslaved, and beaten, cooked, skinned, and eaten, burned, unlearned, and turned the other way, branded, sold, and displayed, hunted, shot, and murdered when you ran away, hated, castrated, separated from family, lynched, raped, murdered was a daily calamity, mutilated, starved before you were drowned, laughed at and taunted as you were frowned upon. The endless mistreatment and discrimination of our nation hasn't ceased. Just a new day in time until Yah destroys the beast. We will never forget.
They took my name, my language, my culture. They killed my mother, my father, denied me religion, disallowed me to read or write for over 300 years. Reduced me to the level of an animal where they branded me on my chest, branded me on my buttocks with a branding iron. And they called me 3/5 of a human being in the American Constitution. Is that the act of a human being or the act of... They took my name.
See what I said earlier? History have recorded it, and blacks will find it very difficult to forget. Let's hear what other TikTokers have to say on the history of the slave trade. Let's go straight into the video.
The thing that distinguishes slavery in Africa from Atlantic slavery is race. Europeans set in motion a system of slavery that was predicated on the idea that certain people were marked as enslavable.
We've learned a great deal about the Middle Passage in the last 40 years or so. The volume of the trade involved the removal of about 12.5 million people from the African continent.
The Middle Passage was the middle leg of a voyage that starts in Europe. The first passage is from Europe to Africa. The Middle Passage is the journey from Africa to America. And then the third passage is the journey back from America to Europe.
The Middle Passage could take anywhere from 2 to 3 months. Men and women were separated. Men typically were held in the lower belly of the ship. The roof, if you would, was quite low, probably about 4 feet high. So people couldn't stand. African men were shackled together, and they were packed so closely together in a spoon-like position, and they would stay like that for pretty much the entire journey.
You're talking about hundreds of people. You're at 120 degrees. It smells terrible. There are actually people dying around you, which has to be a traumatic experience for everybody on board.
Maybe 10% of voyages, we know there was some attempt to rise up, to kill the crew, to try to turn the boat around, to change their destinies. Historians have a hard time capturing what the Middle Passage must have felt like for enslaved men and women. It's a voyage that is deeply disorienting. It's a voyage to a place that you can't anticipate. You don't know what's going to happen to you. I don't think we have adequate words to capture that experience.
I know this ain't home, but it's where you gotta be.
It's time your family pay kunta.
Run!
Their first winter in the Salt Lake Valley, the Mormon pioneers were introduced to Ute slavery. A Ute slave trader came to their camp with a boy and a girl. When they said they didn't want to buy them, he killed the boy. The girl, they then bought to prevent the same from happening to her. Charles Decker came forward with a rifle and exchanged it for the girl, who they named Sally. Brigham Young implored the Mormon pioneers to buy up the Indian slave children as fast as they could. The idea was, if they were in Mormon households, that was a far better fate than being sent off to a Mexican colony or even killed if a slave trader decided they couldn't be sold. The Mormon pioneers also began practicing a more sinister form of Indian slavery, somewhat similar to the Spanish colonial encomienda system. When they would fight Indian tribes in the process of clearing out the Utah Valley for Mormon settlements, women and children who were captured were used as slaves in Mormon households. As in the encomienda system, the idea was that these conquered people were being brought up in a Christian faith, and as payment for that, it only made sense for them to work for the families who were helping to bring them up that way. In the fall of 1851, a man named Don Pedro Leon Lujan walked into the Sanpete Valley. He was looking for Brigham Young. There are no known pictures of Lujan. However, I generally imagine he looked kind of like this guy. I don't know.
There are some parts of slavery that was not taught in the school, and nobody is ready to teach it. Let's hear some TikTokers tell us about it.
Facts about slavery that you weren't taught in school. Whilst much is known about slavery in the Americas, little is known about the African kingdoms who enslaved other Africans and grew rich in the process. It has been said the Europeans were junior partners to the Africans, as military weakness and disease made them entirely reliant on native kingdoms. Empires such as the Ashanti Empire and the Kingdom of Dahomey became enormously wealthy and powerful from their selling of slaves. Whilst the African role is largely ignored in the West, it has been addressed by modern Africans. In 1999, the president of Benin, when speaking to an all-black church in Baltimore, fell to his knees and begged for forgiveness for his country's role in slavery. Dahomey's major role in slavery was only ended in 1852 when Britain forced an anti-slavery treaty on them. The Ashanti Empire resisted attempts to abolish slavery, and it wasn't until British colonization that the practice stopped completely. Like and follow for more.
Despite everything, blacks still remains very strong. Though they said the apologies were not accepted, but in everything they remain very strong. Let's watch this. Very proud to be a black. We are strong. Yeah, we are very strong. We have seen it all. How will this history be erased? Despite they said they don't have, or they did not accept any apologies, they remain very strong. How will these histories be erased? I don't think so. Let me hear from the comment section if you have anything to add. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you're part of this family. See you in my next video.